Welcome back to another Starcraft Remastered replay cast. A very interesting cast here. As you can see from the thumbnail, we're going to be seeing quite a outstanding strategy here by both players, especially by the Terran here. So we have spawning in the upper right part in the orange, it is HEINKE, and his opponent spawning here in the lower left in the yellow, it is A-Long. So very interesting game indeed, once again on a 4 spawning location map. We are going to be watching the build orders very soon, just like we do in the previous replays. And yeah, a little bit of an outstanding gameplay here by the Terran, like you've seen on the thumbnail. The problem is it going to work out, as Bio is a very rare strategy versus the Protoss, and as you can see from the timer, also a very long replay. So we're about to find out what exactly is going to happen here in between the two players. We see the Protoss not wanting to go for a fast expansion yet. He's placing his pylon very next to his nexus, and the Terran should also open up here with a supply depot. So the standard stuff here for both players: pylon next to nexus and the supply depot here for the Terran. So yeah, let's have a look at the next steps. Very soon I believe they will be walking us out to scout the map to see exactly where their enemies are hiding. We see the barracks from the Terran, and this should of course be the scouting SCV for him, or he might also try to leave it here and go straight for a fast expansion, as the map of course will allow it. It's a 4 spawning location map, but no, he's actually just scouting the map, and the Protoss should of course do the same thing very soon. We have him open up with a gateway into gas. I believe the cybernetic core will fall off very soon, as the Dragoons early on are a very great unit to have against the Terran. So pretty standard stuff, with a difference: very early scout for the Terran. I believe he just wants to know if it's going to be indeed a fast expansion build order from the Protoss, or the pretty standard stuff here by him. We do indeed see the cybernetic score, and I guess will be mined very soon. As sadly here for the Terran, he's scouting into the wrong direction, but that's okay. Let's check his main. This should be his factory. No, it's actually another supply depot, and actually he went for gas. So very soon we could see a transition into some factories. Early on, some vultures are very good versus the Protoss. And yeah, still the scouting continues, yet no scouting here for A-Long, as he's playing very defensively. Very normal gas is getting mined. There's the cybernetic score, and you know, finally the Terran will move forward. And interesting enough, the Protoss deciding not to scout. I believe he's going to start his range upgrade very soon for the Dragoons, as the first Dragoon is also getting produced by him. We've passed the 3-minute mark, and let's have a look what the next steps are going to be. The Terran also not deciding to go for a expansion yet, just go straight into the factory, as his SCV will now finally arrive towards the main from the Protoss. Sees the probe, and the probe actually going straight for a expansion now here for the Protoss, and also checks out here the main from the Protoss, with the upgrade indeed going out for him. And there we have his expansion. So faster expansion here for the Protoss. The SCV already taking a little bit of damage. Let's have a look if the Terran is also going to react and go for a expansion on his own. So he just needs to be careful against the Dragoons early on, so some tanks might be needed to go for, into order to have some defenses. So he saw the expansion, he saw the Dragoon, and he's also reacting here with his own expansion. He might also try to add a bunker into this location, as there is the upgrade for the vulture mines, and I believe the first vulture is also getting produced here by the Terran. So pretty nice open up here for both players. Pretty standard stuff, and we can actually see the Protoss now blocking the entrance with a double pylon, and I believe he's going to place some Dragoons into this area just to not allow the vultures to walk here forward. And yeah, very nice chilled open up here for both players. And actually we see the Terran now move out with his units: 4 marines and a vulture, heading straight towards this expansion, and no cannons for the Protoss yet. No forge yet for him as well, as the Terran keeps on marching forward. But I believe the 2 Dragoons with range that is going to be completed very soon should be okay here, should be able to fend this off. So one mine is also getting placed here by the Terran. 2 vultures actually, so this could be very deadly. The Protoss holding his ground, he's taking some damage. Just needs to be careful not to step into those mines. One Dragoon dropping very low, some probes have to be pulled. And yeah, one Dragoon has been killed. The second Dragoon here as well, so the Protoss already early on in quite some difficult situation here. Yeah, in comes another Dragoon, so yeah, more and more damage could be taken here, but the Marines also do some great damage here. They need to be microed. The Vulture in the back sniping some probes, but in the end I believe the Protoss should be able to hold this, as it's just a couple of mines being left here. So the Terran with the first move out here, I believe he just needs that speed for those Vultures, and in order to kill more and more of the probes, yeah, he's inflicting some economic damage, and actually the mines are now doing a great job versus those Dragoons. So the Vulture earlier now with speed be able to snipe so many workers. Yeah, HEINKE dropping to 30 workers, but this looks like it's pretty much all in here for the Terran as he's moving forward now with his Vultures dealing more and more damage. Protoss wrecking with 2 more gateways, but his probe count is very low, so he's already struggling now. He has to micro with his probes in order to deal damage towards those Vultures. So the early game seems to be in control here for the Terran. Still the Protoss is not giving up, he's just needs a couple of Dragoons here to fend this off, and let's see what is going to happen. He needs to be careful not to step into this one mine. More gateways are getting produced here by him. I believe this could be a forge. No, it's actually a robotics facility bay with a Citadel of Adun here for him. So yeah, so many mines. The Protoss pretty much under siege, the Terran pretty much in control of this game. Eventually this is going to get cleared, but the Protoss is going to take once again so much damage out of those mines, so he just needs to be careful not to step here into those mines, but he's taking so much splash damage, and yet now he's able to transfer some of his probes here. So an early great game here by the Terran. He's of course abusing the fact that it was such a great move out by him. He's wanting to secure the game with another expansion here, and he plays it very safe, adding more and more units. You can see the production tab here very high for the Terran, with some siege tanks are now getting produced, and I believe the Terran now knows that he has the advantage, so he's going to pretty much secure his expansion. And let's see what his next moves are going to be. We even have an engineering bay, a barracks here as well. It's nicely blocking the entrance in order not to allow the Protoss to move forward with his Dragoons. And yeah, the Protoss might also move out here. He saw so many gateways. All of a sudden he might try to move out and attack the newly established base for the Terran. This could be his chance here to move forward, but tanks are already out for the Terran. So let's see what's going to happen. I believe we are seeing more and more factories here for the Terran starting off, but you can see from the thumbnail we are going to be eventually seeing a transitioning towards the bio. So is this crazy threat going to somehow work out here for the Terran, and somehow also going to be carriers for the Protoss as things have settled down here a little bit? Yeah, the Terran pretty much now securing his advantage, just blocking the entrance, just adding those turrets. He's expecting perhaps a drop with some shuttles. At the same time, he's just adding more and more of those supply depots here, and going also for his upgrades for. And hold on, we actually see some Dark Templars getting produced here for the Protoss. So the Protoss nicely reacting with a good strategy, but the Terran knows this of course as he's adding those turrets here, and with that engineering bay of course turrets can be placed all over the map. So very smart thinking here for the Terran as he's able to secure his expansion, but the main is pretty much exposed, so if it's going to be a drop we might see some damage happening here towards the SCVs. And let's see if this is indeed going to be the strategy for the Protoss, as there are those Dark Templars just pretty much moving here onto the map. The shuttle is not yet prepared for the Protoss. And you know, the DTs also inflicting some damage. Just needs to be careful not to take damage out of the mines. And yeah, finally one observer is out. So the Protoss looks like he's going to secure this expansion right here with his DTs, with his Dragoons, and even some Zealots have been added here by him. In the meantime, we see some tanks here for the Terran. So pretty much defensive gameplay all of a sudden here for both players, as we see the first starport also getting produced here by the Terran. Yeah, now we have passed the 10-minute mark. Quite interesting game. The Terran actually allowing the Protoss to come back into this game. But you can see from the worker count, he's pretty much double of supply of workers. So his economy is going to be very, very strong. He's also taking an interesting expansion here in the lower right part. And yeah, let's have a look how the game is going to continue. I believe the Protoss is going to take indeed his expansion right here. He's a little bit behind economic wise, but he could bounce back with those carriers. And let's see the Terran just pretty much patrolling the map, just adding more and more mines to have more vision around the map. So it's a soon to be 3-base Protoss versus a 3-base Terran. And yeah, the defenses continues here for the Terran as the first starport, like I told you, is being completed. And more tanks are getting produced. We can even see a science facility, so we might see some science vessels here with EMP shockwave. Always a good decision to have versus some the Protoss or some SCVs on idle here. Maybe he's going to use them very soon to place some buildings there. And yes, there's still no major move out, as you can see on the minimap. Most players deciding to play it very, very defensively here. Most players deciding to wait or invite their enemy to attack. We see the observer here. It's going to get recognized by the turret. And yet the Protoss just keeps on sending more and more observers out on the map. And at the same time, he's still remaining at 3 gateways. Very nice build order here by him. Forge has also been added by him, so some cannons might be added into this location to have more security, to have more vision. And yeah, let's see who indeed is going to be the first to make the attack. The Terran already at 70 workers. I believe this is enough for him. He is actually adding more workers, 71, 72. His economy is looking very, very strong. But what exactly, or when exactly, is he going to attack, and with what? He's adding more factories, interesting enough. And we actually see the fleet beacon now for the Protoss. Of course, like many Protosses, the fleet beacon with the Stargates will be the answer, with some carriers versus the opponent. And this might force, of course, the Terran to go into Goliaths very soon. We actually even see the upgrades here for the Goliaths. We see EMP shockwave and many more upgrades here going out for the Terran. So it is indeed for the first a mech build order for the Terran. But like I told you, we will be seeing a transition into some other units, as we also see the first science vessel getting produced here by him. And the Terran allowing the Protoss to expand, allowing him to mine more. And slowly but steadily the Protoss is coming back into the game with 43 workers. The Terran almost getting maxed out, so we might see an attack very soon. But we actually see a drop happening here with some vultures. So once again, some workers will be sniped. More units will be sniped here as the attack continues here by the Terran. And he actually sees some probes on idle, so this might make him think that he can, of course, go into some different strategies. And let's see what is going to happen here, as I misclicked here. So the Terran dropping to 34 workers, 33. More damage is being taken here by him, as he also saw now the Stargates getting produced by the Protoss. So yeah, I believe he's going to also react with Stargates of his own, or either that, or he's going for some Goliaths. Yeah, he's being maxed out. He has to attack very soon in order to hold on. We actually see a transition now into starports, sorry. So starports, it's going to be here the answer against those carriers. Actually massive amounts of starports, but he's at 180 supplies, so he has to either kill some of his units or just to make a move into the attack. So he knows this, of course. Very soon he is actually moving out with his 0-1 upgrades. Let's have a look at the Protoss 0-0 upgrades for him. So the Terran deciding to move out in order to lose some of his units and in order to have more supply for those starports. He's at 180, his economy is looking very strong, and he's actually moving out with vultures, and he might be going to attack very soon towards the base here from the Protoss. Yeah, very good control by the Terran, but still he's also, his expansion here is not being touched by the Protoss, interesting enough. Then we actually see the first carriers are getting produced by the Protoss here. So let's see. Even have Psionic Storm, Weapon Zone upgrades being done, and like I told you, slowly but steadily the Protoss comes back into the game. more map control here for the Terran. And let's have a look. He's indeed producing out of all of those starports, so he has enough supply. I believe one race is 2 of a supply, could be wrong, might be 3, but yeah, the Terran pretty much maxed out now. So he has to decide, he has to make his move. He has to perhaps suicide some of those vultures in order to get more of a supply of race in the air, and this could be a good location into attacking with those mass vultures. As he's just going to place some mines here, and he might even try to attack here into this location. There's already 3 carriers, more carriers are getting produced, and indeed we do see a move out by the Terran with all of his vultures. It's going to inflict some damage, it's going to also lose some vultures of course, but yeah, I believe this strategy is very smart, as he's going to lose those vultures and pretty much transition into more race, as he knows of course that the Protoss is going for mass carriers indeed. And yeah, he's losing race after race, but that's okay, as we can see of course the more transitioning into more race here for him. So quite interesting strategy. I believe he's just playing around a little bit, and he is of course going to lose those vultures, but the strategy here is of course a transition into massive amounts of race, and more upgrades are going out here for both players. But he's actually playing with fire, as the Protoss is very strong laid on with those carriers, and we even have now Psionic Storm with the High Templars, so the splash damage can be very strong, the AoE can be very strong versus those Wraiths. The Wraiths are very fragile, not that much HP for them, just around 120, and yeah, the carrier is very strong in the air. Let's see if somehow the Protoss is going to be able to bounce back. He's at 45 workers versus the 75 for the Terran, as the Terran takes another expansion, and he also has so many mines on the ground here in order to secure his expansions. So let's see when exactly is he going to move out with all of those Wraiths. No upgrades for the Wraiths yet. You can finally see the first weapons upgrade, but more Wraiths are getting produced, and we even have range now getting upgraded for the Marines. And yeah, very soon I believe the Terran is going to move out here with his force, with his massive amounts of force. Of course the carriers will stand no chance, there is a need for an observer, not that many carriers being available yet for the Protoss, and yet so many Wraiths are available for the Terran, and it looks like very soon we're going to be seeing indeed a move out with massive amounts of Wraiths. And there they are. Where exactly is he going to attack? I believe in the newly established expansion is going to be a good point into attacking. There's so many Wraiths here being clumped up together. And let's have a look when exactly, or if he's going to attack. At the same time, the Protoss decides to move out with his units, with his High Templars. The High Templars of course will give cover towards the carriers. There is an observer as he's clearing mine after mine, and still the Terran just waiting here into this main, as the Protoss is slowly but steadily moving here out onto the map. So yeah, we finally do see the fleet moving out here for the Terran. Massive amounts of Wraiths indeed, and he is indeed going for the newly established base from the Protoss. Let's see if he's going to make it here. So many Wraiths attacking into one cannon already, taking quite some damage. The second cannons will fall here as well. The Protoss reacting, he's coming back, but there's so many Wraiths here attacking. So quite a very strange and rare sight, as the Nexus is taking quite some damage, and yeah, the carriers are very slow, and the Wraiths are pretty much obliterating everything into their way. So as they continue here forward, I believe he's going to try to snap the other Nexus here, indeed going straight for the Nexus. A very smart move here by the Terran, as he's sniping Nexus after Nexus, and it's very hard for the Protoss to move here forward. Remember, there's even Cloak available for the fleet of Wraiths here for the Terran. Very interesting strategy indeed we have here for him, snapping the 2 bases. I believe this one is getting untouched, but he might try to just fly hereby. So right now the economy from the Protoss pretty much suffering, as we have passed the 20-minute mark very soon. So the Terran could continue this assault. He is very likely going to attack this Nexus right here, pretty much patrolling the map, just securing the other expansions. And now the Protoss tries to revive, but yes indeed, the Terran is coming forward. Cloak has been done. He's going to straight snap this other expansion. It's very little what the Protoss can do. No cannons here, the carriers are very slow actually, and now even workers will be snapping. Even some carriers could be snapped here. So the Terran, he might also try to snap the High Templars, but no, he's going straight for this Nexus. So a very abusive gameplay here by the Terran, pretty much ignoring the units here from the Protoss and pretty much going straight for the Nexus here, snapping one item to there, but he also has to snap now the cannons. And yeah, one cannon after the other, pretty much taking so much damage out of the fleet of Wraiths here. And yeah, it's just really nice abusive gameplay here by the Terran, a very nice cat and mouse gameplay here. Pretty much playing here with the Protoss. Finally the Protoss does arrive, he might be able to snap a Wraith or two, but in the end the economic damage has been done. The Terran pretty much abusing the fact that he has so many Wraiths, and I believe he's going to try to continue to do this trick, just flying over, just sniping Nexus after Nexus, and then now the Protoss pretty much has to add more and more of the cannons or Dragoons here. Yeah, the Terran pretty much ignoring the units from the Protoss, now just sniping the High Templars and just moving forward. I believe he's going to try to snap some units here, but no, he's actually splitting his troops, and now he is going to very likely attack those carriers here, but no, he's just pretty much ignoring the carriers. Interesting move by him, and just flying here over. Perhaps he knows that the mission has been successful, as he's going to retreat back home just to secure his expansion, mining some gas from here. And yeah, pretty much a great map control by the Terran, as once again he's moving here forward. I believe the next target is going to be once again this Nexus. So yeah, the Terran nicely playing around, using the fact that those Wraiths are of course very fast in the air, and that they are also dealing quite some pretty good damage on the ground. But yeah, the Protoss always a little bit behind, always guessing where exactly the next attack is going to happen here, as the Terran just playing nicely, playing here with his fleet of Wraiths. And now we actually see a transition, and this is what I thought to you. We actually have a massive amount of transition into some barracks, so he might suicide all of those Wraiths and go straight for those mass bio units. We might even see some ghosts. We see the upgrades now go out for the Terran as he's going into mass bio very soon. The Protoss still guessing where exactly the next attack is going to happen, as he's now just forcing his units to stay here into defending. And the Terran is coming forward, but there are High Templars, there are Dragoons, so it's going to be much harder for him to attack now and to snipe this Nexus, as the Nexus is going to get finished very soon. So this could be a suicide mission for the Terran, as he's going to transition into the bio, and very soon the Nexus is pretty much complete, so it's going to be even harder to snipe it. No Nexus here, none here, and the Terran still waits the launching orders towards those Wraiths, as some mining will continue here into this location. We see the barracks have been finished, but there's too much supply being left here for the Terran, so he can't transition quite yet into the bio units, as he is pretty much maxed out. So he has to either suicide some of those Wraiths or some of his tanks, I believe. But yeah, very nicely strategic gameplay here by the Terran, pretty much playing around with his enemy. However, the Protoss now has pretty much secured this one expansion, and he's mining with all of his workers from here. Could also create a barrier with some cannons against all of those Wraiths. Let's see if this is indeed going to be his action plan, as the Nexus is now pretty much protected here by the Protoss. What exactly is he going to be doing at so many 15 barracks here? What a rare sight to be seen indeed, and also lots and lots of starports here, and even some Wraiths here into this area. Hold on, we actually do see an attack, but there is an observer. We might see some High Templar Storms getting casted very soon, so much harder gameplay here now. He's trying to snipe the Nexus once again, but it's also much harder. The Nexus drops to being red, but this will be cleared eventually. So finally the Protoss with a small victory for him. The other Wraiths now also getting launched here forward by the Terran. But yeah, so much supply is getting lost here for the Terran, so we might see indeed there is the transition into actually Marines by him. So first is going to be Marines with some upgrades, actually massive amounts of Marines, just pretty much clicking into all of those barracks. And we do indeed see massive amounts of Marines getting launched, and now we actually see him once again move forward with his Wraiths, his cloaking, he's moving forward. He might be able to snipe this Nexus, as there is finally the snipe is happening. Even a Great Storm has been casted, but all of those Wraiths are still moving here forward. And yet we have another Nexus, but this will of course be defended by the Protoss, and all of those Wraiths will be finally taken out. So the Nexus has fallen, but the Wraiths will fall here as well. And yeah, finally the Protoss is able to defend this one location. the other one will be established very soon, as long distance mining is going to continue here for him. And so many expansions are being left here alive for the Protoss. And yeah, let's see, there is the march of those Marines, the late Marines, the transition into some Marines. Let's check the upgrades. 1-1. Yeah, it's so many Marines actually moving here forward, and we don't have actually he has no vision here. Finally there is a storm happening here, so much splash damage out of the units as we see the Marines now finally arrive. So we do have a transition into Marines. This one DT having a great time. Actually he's getting sniped by his own High Templar with the storm, but yet the Marines are moving forward and they're snapping interceptor after interceptor. So very smart move here indeed by the Marines, just pretty much transitioning to those units. Quite an interesting move by him. And will it be enough? Is Bio actually going to work against so many carriers, as those pretty much those barracks are just pumping out more and more? And interesting enough, he's going for some fire bats. So why exactly is he going for some fire bats? Quite interesting to see, as more Marines will be snapped here. And this might be the comeback from the Protoss, as the fire bats of course can't target air. We actually see some dropships happening here, so we could see some dropship harassment by the Terran. So playing with fire here with his fire bats, with his medics, stim of course. I hope it has been done, as more and more fire bats, actually massive amounts of fire bats getting produced here. He's at 10k minerals, so of course his economy is allowing this, but there's quite a scary army here for the Protoss, and also a perfect counter towards all of those fire bats on the ground. Those High Templars very strong, as the mines will be cleared here. And with that, long distance mining is actually happening here for the Protoss, as he has established this base right here. But he's moving forward, he's moving towards the newly established base, and it's actually massive amounts of dropships. We have around 8 dropships, so the Terran has to hurry up in order to do some damage here, as fire bats are now moving forward. Stimmed fire bats attacking here forward, winning some time towards the dropships. This will of course be cleared, but the dropships have moved out, and there they are, lead heading straight towards the base from the Protoss. And yeah, the Protoss nicely now moving forward. The newly established bases by the Terran will eventually getting snapped. More and more fire bats are actually getting produced here for the Terran, and there is the dropship. It's going to drop very soon into the main from the Protoss, so it's going straight for those production buildings. And the carriers of course dealing greatly with those masses, and there it is, there's the drop happening here with massive amounts of stimmed fire bats, as they're just pretty much frying everything here. All of the units, all of the dragoons and the other probes here. There's so much damage being taken here by the Protoss, but at the same time this expansion is going to fall here, so many carriers are still being left alive, and they're sniping unit after unit here as well, as Marine after Marine is getting snapped, and he's nicely microing those High Templars in the back. So what a crazy game indeed we have here, as the fire bats are now into the main from the Protoss, but the Protoss still with a very strong unit. However, so many Marines are getting now produced, 50 Marines at a time out of those barracks. So very strange and interesting game indeed, as the carriers have to of course come back home in order to snap the units here. This one, the T, is still alive. He's at around 9 kills, and he's actually getting killed by the fire of the fire bats attacking the gateway. So what a crazy game. But finally here come the carriers, and they should be able of course to clear this eventually. There's so much fire being casted by the fire bats, and yeah, pretty much all of the buildings from the Terran, from the Protoss have been snapped, as the once again army move out is happening here with massive amounts of Marines. Still massive amounts of units are getting produced here by the Terran, and it's actually going to be mass Marines versus carriers into the late game. So what a crazy game, but with more map awareness, with more map control here for the Terran. And yeah, in come the Marines as they're moving forward. However, the Protoss has the high ground. He has been able to snap all of those fire bats, and now he's going for the drop ships. But yeah, in comes the wave of the Marines. They should be having more upgrades. It's 2 upgrades, so very strong Marines. And a good economy still for A-Long, so he might be able to replenish all of those interceptors, as the interceptors now finally will be engaged by the Marines. Yeah, interceptor after interceptor falling. The same can be said for those Marines, but yeah, not that many interceptors are being left here, as finally more and more units are getting attacked and more reinforcements are arriving here for the Terran. And yeah, more and more is getting snapped left and right. More Marines, more interceptors. But slowly but steadily more interceptors are dropping, and you can see the fleet of carriers not having so many interceptors being left. Actually, just a couple of them are now being thrown out. One carrier pretty much in the front. Marines are taking care of the main here from the Protoss. You can see some interceptors are getting produced. In the meantime, more and more of the upgrades are happening here for the Terran, and I believe the Terran has pretty much secured this crazy game, as the carriers not having so many interceptors being left. The Marines should be fine. Some of them will be snapped, but you can see the interceptor number just keeps on dropping lower and lower. And yeah, those upgraded Marines, I believe they should be able to finish this game, this crazy game here, as the Protoss is only mining from this expansion right here. Even a drop has happened here into this location, and yeah, the carriers now just pretty much fleeing as they have to replenish the interceptor number. And there's so many Marines are still left alive here. And yeah, let's have a look. More and more is getting produced here for the Terran. They say the interceptors will fall once again. Yeah, the Protoss is still mining, but I believe the Terran might have done it here indeed, with this crazy transition into mass firebats and then mass Marines with drop ships. Yeah, great game by him. There's only one base being left here by the Protoss, so quite a rare sight, quite a rare strategy here indeed out of the two players. And interesting enough, the Terran should be able to hold this, but let's not forget that there are some cannons here, there are some carriers on the high ground, so the Terran not having vision yet, he might have to scan the upper hand. But there's so many Marines coming here from left and right. And now sadly here for the Protoss, the problem is that he has no many interceptors being left. The carriers just pretty much stand there without any interceptors, and there's no minerals also being left, as Marines are coming forward left and right. The carrier is pretty much useless now without any interceptors, as now as soon as the interceptors will fly out, they will be intercepted immediately by the Marines' guns. And yeah, interceptor after interceptor is getting killed here. So what a crazy game indeed, as more Marines are moving forward. Yeah, the Terran should be able to just move, just right click his units out, and indeed Oilong realizes this, that there would have been no chance into winning this, as the sheer mass of Marines was just way too high here for the Terran. So here, look at all of those moving Marines getting blocked here by those Marines in the front as they try to move forward, and finally the Marines do arrive here, and then last Nexus is going to get snapped here. So quite a crazy game indeed we have in between the two players. What a transition indeed into mass. And actually now he's going for some ghosts, so ghosts with the ability, with the lock ability, would also have been nice to see, as the Terran is now pretty much clearing everything he has. And yeah, there are the ghosts now with the lock. Some nuke would have also been nice to see, some nukes here. But yeah, there are so many Goliaths, ghosts moving here out for the Terran. Yeah, it would have been really nice to see some nukes, but yeah, sadly no such thing into this crazy game. Crazy transition into those massive amounts of Marines. Very nice game. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let's check the stats really quick, as once again I'm going to be clicking left and right. So yeah, very interesting game in between them. What a crazy transition into race, then Marines with firebats, drops, and sadly for Along, a very hard game for him, as the Terran pretty much abused the fleet of race versus him. Yeah, very hard game indeed, but still a very enjoyable long game. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is Tommy signing out.